You know what? I have no opening statement, no inspiration. Please help me. Hello and welcome to the review of Champions. Today we're going to talk about The Witcher Season 1. With me are Mr. R.R. Stenton.
Hey guys, I haven't talked about this show in a while. In fact, I don't think I've ever talked about it, so this is going to be great.
And introducing a new member of Sakaar and new on our review, Merv.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, good sir. Before we dive into this, into Season 1 of The Witcher, I should say, I'm going to invite you all to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube and maybe join our forum on Sakaar, sakaar.freeforums.net. It's a nice little forum, nice people, nice conversations. And if you join, you can be on the podcast to review. See Merv. He's fairly new and he's already here with us. We're going to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show, what the hell are you doing watching this video? Go watch the show and then maybe watch our video later. Well, without further ado, Merv, you're new. You get the first turn.
All right.
Spill your guts.
All right. Well, I came into this show knowing almost nothing about it. I had seen a friend playing the Witcher 3 video game years ago. So I knew that there was a guy with white hair who hunted monsters, and he had like basically superpowers or something, but that was about it. So whenever it started, I was completely, I don't know any character. I recognize a guy with white hair. That's about the extent of my knowledge of this universe. And I'll be honest, immediately hooked from like episode 1. Whenever, I mean, it opens up, I think, with a monster coming out of a pond or a lake or something.
Yeah.
Like trashing a deer, and then he kills it. I loved it. I was like, all right, that's cool, you know. And then he goes to town, and there's a whole Renfrey thing. Geralt as a character, amazing. I loved his. I mean, it's kind of your stereotypical, like, you know, loner bear, like grumpy, gruff, but he's not. If you know, whenever he gets to know people, or people force him to get to know them, he opens up a lot more, and he has like his own moral compass that doesn't revolve around anything in society. And he's not afraid to like stand up for things that he believes, even if it means like getting tomatoes thrown at him by peasants in the town somewhere or something. And I just love that about his character, especially.
Okay. Arch.
Yeah, I came at this very similarly to Merv, where I didn't know much about it. I'd seen enough of the video game played, and I'd really considered getting it as a video game. And expect I had the third one already. But I just like the exploration of it, the almost gothic nature of the material, and it was still, you know, I guess you'd call it high fantasy, right? Like it's still like set in this like incredibly fantastical world where it's almost got this classic role-playing game sort of feel, where you're just out in the countryside or the woods, and there's always some beast or some situation or something to take care of. And I thought this show actually at episode 1, the part that got me is sort of at the end, after he's made the decision to kill the girl that's ahead of the gang that he's sort of been tasked to go after, and he's a little indecisive as to whether or not he does it, but he does it. And the wizard that tasked him to do it says something very close to, "Are you sure you made the right choice?" And it felt so video gamey to me. Like, because I think in a lot of those great open world games that they have now, even no matter what choice you make, you're always like second guessing yourself a little bit, and it really felt like that to me. So I thought that was pretty cool. But just overall, it felt like super real. Like the way they did the monsters that Merv was talking about were really realistic. You know, you felt it. It felt intense. It felt scary. It felt gothic, or however you want to define that. And so did the war. The battles that are going on, they're really bloody. They're really intense. A lot of them are really sad. They were brutal, and it was just a good show overall. Just running through the whole thing.
Yeah, the first moment, Merv already spoke about it. The monster coming out of the pond, it gave me a Shelob vibe immediately, like from the Lord of the Rings. You know, the big spider. Well, that immediately I got that vibe. And yeah, it felt a bit like Game of Thrones meets Lord of the Rings, and it's all my favorite shows combined. Yeah, it really appealed to me from the start. I like the characters. I like Gerald, of course. I like Yennefer. I like Ciri. I like the world actually where it takes place. It's a very interesting world. It seems medieval. It feels and yeah, magical, and yeah, that kind of stuff always appeals to me. Yeah. All those characters I was mentioning, Yennefer, Ciri, Gerald, Arch. What do you think of them and the actors that portray them?
I think everybody did great. I was, we were familiar with Cavill, of course, and but I totally bought him in this. Like, I didn't feel like I was watching Henry Cavill the whole time. I really, even though I'm not sure the guy really has genuine range, but I still thought like he fit this role really well, and I thought it was great. Yennefer's entire arc, I was really impressed with. I don't know anything about that actress, but I thought she did a fantastic job. The way they transformed her character was super intense, and that was that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where they made the violence and the confrontations and stuff feel really visceral. Her transformation from being this kind of deformed person who feels like she's got more to offer the world and then goes through this transformation process, then that was borderline horrific. And I just thought they did a really good job in getting her to this other place, and it defines her character as well as being this person who wants to have a big impact on the world. So I thought that was all pretty good. All the other actors did great as well.
Yeah. I actually like the Sintra, the royal family. I like the dynamics of the queen and her husband. Merv, what do you think?
Same thing. I mean, I already spoke about Geralt. I think he's amazing. And I think as far as Henry Cavill goes, like this character especially doesn't need to have a lot of range. So I think if he doesn't, as an actor, have a lot of range, like he's kind of that same thing. You get like little nods and looks, and that's enough for Geralt to portray his emotions. Mm-hmm. Yennefer, speaking of just the physical transformation that they did with her before the enchantments or whatever, and then her after, like it's a completely different character visually. Obviously, everything about her personality is similar, although that over the course of the show, her arc is ranging. But of course, she's given like 60 or 70 years to deal with all of her issues. So she changes probably the most, it seems, from episode, I think she shows up in 2 to episode 8 or whatever. Ciri was fine. The thing I liked a lot about Ciri is she shows almost like the different, it seemed like there's a lot of prejudice in this world. In hers, especially, like you see a lot of like the on the ground level, it feels like because she's running from everything, so she's running into different groups, and like especially like you see prejudice against the dwarven people. Like people don't like dwarves, people don't like elves. Like she deals with all that right out of the gate, and her being like a princess, a royal family, but not really wanting to live that princess royal family life. It's a nice like. I don't know. It brings her more down to earth, makes her feel humble and likable.
Yeah, but she also had the issue that I had a feeling that the common folk really didn't care for the royal family that much, and actually they blame the royal family for a lot of their troubles. As it's mentioned in the course of the show, Nilfgaard doesn't see themselves as conquerors; they see themselves as liberators. Mm-hmm. The liberators of Sintra, among others. So she has to deal with that prejudice as well. It's basically Daza. What is this name for the character? No, the elf boy. The elf boy. Dara. I'm checking that now. Yeah, Dara. I think. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Dara. Who actually shows her that, and actually, but in the end, he still cares for her. So I really like that. After they go into that special world, where they are safe from the Nilfgaard who is hunting her. There's a lot there for Ciri. Although she's not really fleshed out during the series, she's more on the run in this season, and trying to find Gerald. And there's not much else going on with her. But that's not true for Gerald and Yennefer. I think they have a very interesting dynamic. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I like, so I guess just kind of splintering off here, the different timelines of it. You know, to bring up the elephant in the room, because I feel like that's like a big thing about season 1 especially, is you don't notice it right away, and it's such a low exposition. Like, they don't give you a date at the bottom or a year at the bottom, or like say 20 years ago, 50 years ago. It's just like you either notice it right away or like somewhere along the line, and then I do feel like once you notice it, it adds so much to the enjoyment of it to be able to see those little, not Easter eggs, but like everything's tied together. And even like I did a rewatch right before this, like over the last week, and you see so many more characters in the background or mentioned, or, you know, you can actually follow other people's stories through Yennefer's story years ago, whenever like they mentioned Queen Calanthe before she's a queen, whenever she's just a stubborn princess, and it fits right into her character as, you know, a stubborn queen. She grows up into like basically what they mentioned, that she's just like her father. So whenever the Queen Calanthe shows up and she has all the traits of like a stereotypical like stubborn king, it like makes total sense, you know, and you can kind of see those threads like woven throughout the story whenever you're looking for them, or after a watch or on a rewatch or whatever, you know. I'm
super glad you mentioned that, actually, because I was almost going to bring that up, and I just wanted to see what you guys ended up talking about. But I was going to mention the time swap, and when I was first watching it, I mean, obviously you know that they're not running into people in the other scenes. So you know there's some sort of disjointed story going on. You just can't. Doesn't jump off the page to you what exactly is going on, and then eventually you figure out, oh no, Geralt has been around for who knows how long at this point. You still don't know how long that is until you start realizing how old the kid is, and you start piecing it together a little bit. But frustrating isn't the right word for it. But I got to that point, and I was just like, oh, because it like kind of hit me in the face a little bit that you're like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. But I love that you just mentioned that they've got enough detail in there that you can go back and listen to Geralt's arc, and they're talking about characters Yennefer would have known when, or Yennefer, you're seeing Yennefer interact with when they're older, but they speak of them as though they're younger. That's really cool detail. That actually really makes me want to go back and rewatch it, you know, right now, essentially, just because they got that much detail in it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it really becomes clear in episode 4 when they Geralt and the Bard, the Jester, visit the royal ball, where the thing with Ciri's mom and dad happens, where they get engaged and married on the spot, I think. Then you notice, oh, this is how it is. I mean, what we see with Ciri is way after what we see with Geralt happening. I do want to mention Yennefer. I mean, I think she's a great character in this show. She wants back what has been taken, but actually she gave it away. She wanted the looks. So, but yeah, there she wants a child. She won't get it, of course. Which of course leads to that amazing episode where they go for the golden dragon. I love that episode. I think that's a hilariously funny episode, but also cool action. I absolutely love that episode.
I agree with you. Yeah, that one was fun. I don't know if I have a favorite episode. Maybe the one where Yennefer actually changes, just because it's so like personally intense. But what I was wondering though is the second thing I was going to think of in comparison with the time change, because I felt there were kind of two big mysteries going on, is what exactly is the motivation that's going on here behind behind all this? Like, why are they invading Citra exactly? I know you touched on that earlier, as they think they're liberators, but like, what is giving them the I guess motivation to do this? Really, like, is something, because you haven't really seen that anything's terrible that they would be liberating. What is it they think they're doing?
Yeah, we said before that we wouldn't talk about season 2, so there you get a major clue in season 2 why they are doing that. So people watch season 2, then you will know, and we will do a recap of season 2 as well once Archer's caught up. But caught up, I should say catch this wrong English. I'm sorry.
There's nothing else in season 1 though that I'm not thinking about that would kind of give you a clue. I'm just wondering if I missed something.
The only thing that I can think that they show that isn't like an obvious reason, but whenever I don't remember the name, but Calanthe's daughter, the princess, like Ciri's mom, is accepting proposals or whatever, there is a Nilfgaard lord or something that shows up, and he's basically laughed out of court. Like, Nilfgaard's a laughing stock, and this is 30 years before like they invade Sintra. You know, so it's not even that long ago. And then in Yennefer's story, like 60 years before, like it seems like it's almost a feudal state. Like, it's constantly people are double crossing each other and changing. Somebody's becoming a king, and it's constant war over the throne of like rags, basically. So that's like the sense that you get from Nilfgaard before they turn into, I guess, some kind of an elite, fighting force and just start invading the continent, Okay. But in season 1, I don't think they obviously state why they're doing what they're doing. It's just like, we're bringing equality to the world or whatever. They kind of use that as like, this system's corrupt, let's overturn it and start a new system.
All right, that's my big hook, I guess, going into season 2 is what in the heck are they doing?
Yeah. Season 2 starts where season 1 ended, and season 1 ended with an amazing battle where the mages take on the armies of Nilfgaard at a border outpost. I absolutely love that battle scene where you show the mages, they use their magic to fight against those armies. And the effects went really crazy there. I absolutely loved it. End battle. What do you think?
So, I really liked it. I loved they show a whole lot of like magical techniques, or like, I don't know if you want to call it that, but there's a lot of different ways that they go about it. Like between the sleepy mushrooms or whatever to, Yennefer just literally causing a nuclear explosion with her hands to like the little worms that go inside people's heads. Like, I thought all that stuff was really cool and just showed such a diverse magic system that they have, that like even different characters. Cause I can't remember her name, the head, like sorceress, or the one that was teaching them all the time. She brings Triss out, and Triss is specifically the one to like use nature. You know what I mean? So that just tells me like maybe she's stronger with like the nature magic as opposed to somebody else who might be better at creating magic worms that go into people's brains or whatever they were doing there. I liked, and I don't know if it was enchantment or whatever, but I liked that Nilfgaard was basically using black magic or like very negative things. They had a lot of suicidal mages on their team, and I'm like, are they enchanted, or did they decide to just like burn up their body to create a fireball? You know what I mean? Like, things like that like had me interested in, are these people doing this of their own free will, or are they actually like enslaved by this or whatever? But
that was actually a thing that was in all the series in season 1. Those girls getting into the place where they are educated to become a mage, and then a lot of them fail and become eels in some kind of pool, conduits, as they say, and then they basically are used as tools for the mages. And it gave me a bit of a creepy feeling. Tesea, who runs the school, but in the end, she turns out to be a good magician. I thought that was a very interesting part of it, and those mages trying to be the power behind all the thrones on the continent, moving the kings around as pawns in a intricate chess game of power, keeping the power especially by for themselves. I thought it was really interesting dynamic in the show that was playing in the background. Arch?
No, yeah, I think everything you guys are talking about like just really makes me think that the world they've created is really vivid and it's really rich and detailed. I mean, you run into kind of random commoners who are just, going about their day in the streets, and you run into various types of mages who have unique sets of powers. Everybody's not the same. The variety of monsters, the variety of locations, dealing the kings and queens and people who are in charge having their own issues. I mean, everything's really brutal. Everybody has everybody's life is hard. But it all feels real, and you get the humanity out of it as well. Like, I mean, when you see things like the young witches are recruited, some of them kind of against their will, and then drug in there, and you either become a good witch or you get sentenced to eelhood the rest of your life. Like, I don't know. Like the whole place just feels really, really alive, and I think that's great. I can't honestly shake the video game quality out of it. Maybe it's just because I know that's what it is, but I'm a big Red Dead fan, and it feels like walking up on a new town each time they go somewhere else and exploring whatever's going on there. And there's this variety of stories among anybody you meet that you can eavesdrop on and catch up on, and their lives are different, and there's challenges you have to face because of it. And I just think the world feels very vibrant and alive, and I think they've done a great job of that in the series.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a huge world the writer created, and it's very interesting. I think it's really, really good. Merv?
Yeah, I agree, and I like the balance that when you're shifting perspectives between obviously our big three are Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri, that you get almost a different feel. Like Geralt felt very like Monster of the Week, like TV show, like kind of fun. Let's go on an adventure. Every episode was like a different adventure for him, whereas Yennefer just felt like it was telling her entire life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like it jumped at one point. I think it jumps like 30 years, between two episodes for her character. Like she goes from being like a new sorceress to like she's tired of it already. Like in the next episode, she's in a carriage with the queen and a baby, and she's just like, she has so many regrets already. And it's just like you see an entire lifespan of her, like of a normal person in her, but she's immortal or next to it. And Ciri just felt like, like this is where we are. And then whenever they finally intersect, like it's nice to, like you mentioned the dragon episode, that felt very Geralt questy, but also ties to Ciri, and it joins their two timelines perfectly. Mm-hmm. Like it was like, okay, they're together. So anytime you see anything, it's two timelines, and eventually by the end we get to one timeline. And I just thought it was all balanced very, very well.
Yeah, certainly. I think we covered about everything, right?
The only thing I'll mention is I love the music, like the between the theme song and like Jaskier's songs. I just found them really enjoyable, even like especially on a second time through, like whenever he starts, the first time he plays like Toss a Coin to Your Witch or whatever, I was like really getting into it. I just love the sound of the instruments and that. Like that sounds great.
Especially when they played it at the end, it kind of became the credits song, and they played this longer, more intense version of it. I thought that was great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great music in there. Yeah, and the song is nice. Yeah, absolutely.
The only other thing I'd add is and this is just these shows in general, is I like these types of new shows where they really invest in them. They look great. They're done well, and they're shorter too. Like you're not having to watch a 30 episode season. It's done in 8 episodes, and I like it. It's crazy.
I like those shows that indeed one season, 8 episodes, it's enough. Usually after 6 or so episodes, you start to wonder how is this going to end. Well, the end is coming soon. If you have to watch 20 episodes, it's usually I stop during the middle. So that's well done. But this is an expensive show for Netflix. I mean, it looks amazing. do you think they will finish the job? Because Netflix has a tendency to cancel shows if they're not performing well.
Yeah, I mean, good.
No, that's a big question, and so my favorite example of this is still Carnival. I don't know if anybody ever watched that, but I was really into that show after 2 seasons. It's not a Netflix show, and they got rid of it, and it clearly is not finished. There's no, it's not even close. They're just ramping up, obviously, and they didn't finish that show. So I've had a lot of trouble watching TV ever since then, and I mean, I'm in this. I'm watching this one. I've watched a lot of other series that they have finished and that I've been satisfied with. So I'm hoping they don't just abruptly stop it. But I don't know. They canceled Daredevil. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't even, again, this is I'm like fresh to the whole Witcher universe. I haven't played any games or read any of the books, so I don't know where it's going necessarily. I do hope they at least give it at least a TV show conclusion, even if it's completely different than the books or the games or however they end normally. But at least something would be nice. I hope they do. I don't know what the budgets are, and who knows, but I hope.
Yeah. I can't for the life of me remember the name of the show. It's not a Netflix show either. It was made by the same people who made the 24 show. And they only made 1 season of it, but it deals with aliens who have been living on Earth like forever. And the last episode ends with them pulling their home planet through a wormhole right next to Earth. And that's the moment it stopped. And they never made a 2nd season. I'm still frustrated by that. I don't know the name of the show. It was a very good show.
I feel like with this particular type of material, it'd be really easy for them to wrap up a major story in any season, and then if they decide, hey, we want to do another season, then you just do something else completely different. I don't think it always has to be continuous necessarily. They've already shown them in different time periods anyway.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't think it needs to be like everything has to have a bow on it either, especially with this world. It can, I will say that the actual plot furthers quite a bit in season 2. So it's going to be harder moving forward to just kind of meander it, to an end. But I'm interested to see it. As long as the quality stays the same, I'm going to be in.
Oh yeah, I actually like the setup of season 1, where you indeed have your monster of the week. Of course, there's an overall storyline, but it doesn't seem to really connect and advance every 10 minutes or so. It's there, but it's not really important to what you're seeing. And I really like that setup. And they let it go a little bit in season 2. We're gonna get to that next time, but. Yeah, that's a bit. I think it's a bit of a shame, actually. I would have liked to see that continue, but I understand the choices they made, and it makes sense. Well, that wraps up our review or recap for The Witcher Season 1. Before we go, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Join the forum on Sakaar. That way, we don't have to miss you, and you don't have to miss us. Bye.